Hello, dear students. I hope all of you are happy and healthy. Welcome to your online English class. Today we are going to discuss the first chapter from the supplementary reader in English for class 11, The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse, written by an American Armenian novelist, William Saroyan. Now, before beginning with this beautiful story, I want to present a situation before you. Consider this. Your parents decide to visit your ailing grandparents for a couple of days. They leave you with the responsibility of taking care of your younger brother and ask you to be with him at home all the time. They could leave only because they trust you. After they leave, you get invited to a friend's house for a birthday party. What will you do? Well, which part of the entire situation is making you think twice before coming to a conclusion? Yes, you do love your brother, and that is a reason enough to stay with him, but isn't your parents' trust a reinforcing element here? You want to remain honest to the faith that they have shown in you, isn't it? As we go on with the story, keep this value of honesty and trust in your mind. In the story, the narrator describes a childhood incident that happened one summer. He gets quite nostalgic when talking about this incident. The incident is about his cousin Murad and a beautiful white horse. These two cousins, are Armenian boys and belong to the Garoglanian tribe. Now, the cultural setting of the story is very important to our understanding of the plot and characters. So, these Armenian boys, Aram and Murad, are members of Garoglanian tribe. They are Armenian boys. Armenia has had a long history of struggle with powerful kings and states wanting to annex it. They have faced oppression, annexation, mass executions by Persians, Iranians, Ottoman Empire, Soviet Union, etc. Now, the Garoglanian tribe is particularly known for some extraordinary traits. As the narrator describes their tribe in a humorous way, he points out the abject poverty they lived in. He calls it the most amazing and comical poverty in the world. He calls it amazing and comical because even though they were poor, they continued to manage to get their food somehow. But more important than that, this tribe was known for their honesty. And so, they were proud people and knew the difference between the right thing and the wrongdoings. They would never commit a wrongful act. And so he describes, we were proud first, honest next, and after that we believed in right and wrong. So now that we know about the Garoglanian family, shall we start with the story? This is how it begins. One day back there in the good old days, when I was 9 and the world was full of every imaginable kind of magnificence, and life was still a delightful and mysterious dream, my cousin Murad, who was considered crazy by everybody who knew him except me, came to my house at 4 in the morning and woke me up tapping on the window of my room. "Aram," he said. I jumped out of bed and looked out of the window. I couldn't believe what I saw. It wasn't morning yet, but it was summer, and with daybreak not many minutes around the corner of the world, it was light enough for me to know that I wasn't dreaming. My cousin Murad was sitting on a beautiful white horse. I stuck my head out of the window and rubbed my eyes. "Yes," he said in Armenian, "it's a horse. You're not dreaming. Make it quick if you want to ride." As you can see, that the narrator is a 9-year-old boy whose name is Aram, and one day he's woken up by his cousin Murad, who is 13 years old as we are told later in the story. Cousin Murad was apparently considered crazy by everyone except Aram. And as Aram woke up, he saw Murad sitting on a beautiful white horse. What a beautiful sight for him. But Aram's instant reaction is that of disbelief. He cannot believe his eyes. His first longings had been longings to ride a horse. He really desired to ride a horse, but seeing the horse right in front of him was hard for him to believe. Why was it so difficult? Now remember what we discussed about the Garoclanian tribe to which the boys belonged? The very first characteristic was that they were extremely poor. So Murad could not have bought the horse. He doesn't have so much money to buy a horse. Well, if not bought, then he must have stolen it. But the second characteristic was their honesty. So Aram refused to believe that his cousin, a member of the Garoclanian family, known for its honesty, could have stolen the horse. So Aram decides to directly ask Murad about the horse. So he says, "Where did you steal this horse?" And what is Murad's reply? He gives him a straight reply. "Leap out of the window if you want to ride." Well, that confirms that Murad had actually stolen the horse, or he would have denied. Now, how could Aram ride a stolen horse? This would be against the name and fame of his tribe. So this little boy gives an explanation to himself and convinces himself by giving the following arguments. First and foremost, he says that stealing a horse is not like stealing money. Stealing money, in his opinion, counted as real stealing. Also, taking in account the passion he and his cousin Murad had for horses, this could not be called stealing. And the last explanation he offered was that it would be called stealing only if they sell the horse and get money in exchange of it. So for him, stealing involved money, and because there is no money involved here, it cannot be called stealing. Well convinced, now the two boys go out for a ride. They enjoy it together and then they ride the horse one by one. When they decide to ride the horse alone, they have completely contrasting experiences. Murad exhibited his skills in handling the horse. He could ride it without any difficulty, and it showed that this was not his first time. But instead of saying that he has acquired these skills by practicing, he simply states that he has a way with horse, which is a way of saying that he has an understanding with the horses. Aram, on the other hand, failed miserably in riding the horse. The horse launches into the vines instead of running on the smooth field. Consequently, with all the leaps that the horse took, Aram falls off the horse and the horse goes his own way. Both of them then find it with difficulty. While taking the ride with his cousin, Aram thinks about how every family has a crazy streak, and in their family, they are Uncle Khosrow and Murad. Now, why does this thought come to his head? Because just now, Murad has done something really crazy of taking out this beautiful white horse from somewhere. He says that his cousin Murad can be called the natural descendant of Uncle Khosrow. Let us get to know who this Uncle Khosrow is. Aram starts off with a physical description of Uncle Khosrow. Enormous man, head full of black hair and the largest mustache in Saint Joaquin Valley. He then discusses his temperament. He was a man of mercurial nature, that is, subject to sudden or unpredictable changes of mood or mind. He would roar a sentence which became his catchphrase. something he would repeat at all occasions. He would say, "It is no harm, pay no attention to it." He had this reply to all the problems in anyone's life. It was maybe because Armenian people had lost so much in wars and struggles that anything else looked really, really small compared to the huge loss he has seen in his lifetime. An example of his attitude is given in a humorous little incident that happened with Uncle Khosrow and his son. So once it was his own son, Arak, running 8 blocks to the barber's shop where his father was having his mustache trimmed to tell him that their house was on fire. This man Khosrow sat up in his chair and roared, "It is no harm, pay no attention to it." The barber said, "But the boy says your house is on fire." So Khosrow roared again and he says, "Enough, it is no harm, I say." And hence he was considered crazy. But why does Aram compare Murad with Uncle Khosrow? He says that Murad can be considered the natural descendant of Uncle Khosrow, that these two are the crazy streaks in their family. So what could be the reason? The reason is that he too, Murad too, was unconventional and slightly strange like Uncle Khosrow. We have already read about what Uncle Khosrow did at odd situations. At every situation he would have the same reply. And Murad too was eccentric, different like him. He was considered one of the craziest members of the Garoclanian tribe. He was full of life and loved following his passions without caring for people around him. He could do anything to do the things he loved. Only a crazy boy like him would take out somebody's horse and go out riding at early dawn every day. He risked his tribe's reputation for his passion for riding. Murad had the knack of handling almost any critical situation. His heart was full of love for animals. That too we read in the story where we see him tending to an injured bird. Murad was considered to have taken after his uncle Khosrow, who was slightly different. So yes, Murad was impulsive, he was carefree, he was daring, and he followed his heart and passion, and that is why Aram, a very calm and sensible boy, considered Murad and Uncle Khosrow to be the crazy streaks in the family. The cousins completed their early morning ride, and yes, what did they do next? They just took the horse and they hid it in a deserted vineyard. Then Murad, while coming back, he tells Aram that yes, he had to do something so that the horse behaved properly with him as well. But he says, "I have a way with the horse." This is his catchphrase. Like Uncle Khosrow has his, this one is used by Murad at all times. And Aram, this little boy of 9 years, he is in awe and wishes to achieve an understanding with the horses like Murad has achieved. But then one fine day, Aram gets to know whose horse it was. That afternoon, at Aram's house, while Uncle Khosrow was sitting, another visitor came. The visitor's name was John Bairu, an Assyrian who learned to speak Armenian, that is their language. When this man, the farmer, John Bairu, came, he started talking to Uncle Khosrow and he says, "My white horse, which was stolen last month, is still gone. I cannot understand it." So now we know whose horse it was. And with us, Aram, of course, gets to know the reality. Now Aram runs over to Murad's house on knowing the truth that the horse actually belongs to the farmer, John Bairu. Aram's request to Murad is not that they return the horse to the rightful owner, but his request is that they keep the horse and they do not return it till he learns to ride a horse. And Murad's reply, all of a sudden, he remembers the traits of Garoclanian family and he says, "Member of the Garoclanian family cannot steal. The horse must go back. The desperate reply of Aram is, when? And Murad, he says, 6 months at the latest. Well, that was enough to make Aram happy, so they reach an agreement and they start with their early morning rides. But one day something happened. So we know that Murad and Aram, after riding the horse in the early hours every morning, they used to keep the horse in a deserted vineyard, right? On one fine day when they were returning from their ride to keep the horse, they run into the farmer John Byro, the owner of the horse. Now what will they do? They are there with the man's horse and the man is right in front of them. And who takes the charge? It's Murad. He says, let me do the talking, my cousin Murad said. I have a way with farmers. Remember, he once said, I have a way with horses. Now he's saying, I have a way with farmers. So this confident boy, he says that he will tackle the situation. Let's go through the conversation that they had. Good morning, John Byro, my cousin Murad said to the farmer. The farmer studied the horse eagerly. Good morning, son of my friends, he said. What is the name of your horse? My heart, my cousin Murad said in Armenian. A lovely name, John Byro said, for a lovely horse. I could swear it is the horse that was stolen from me many weeks ago. May I look into his mouth? Of course, Murad said. The farmer looked into the mouth of the horse. Tooth for tooth, he said. I would swear it is my horse if I didn't know your parents. The fame of your family for honesty is well known to me. Yet the horse is the twin of my horse. A suspicious man would believe his eyes instead of his heart. Good day, my young friends. Good day, John Byro, my cousin Murad said. When John Byro said tooth for tooth, he actually meant that this horse was exactly like his horse. Even the teeth matched. But then why doesn't he claim the horse as his own? As he mentions himself, he knew the parents of these kids and thus knew that these kids belonged to the Garoglanian family, which was known for its honesty. He knew the fame of this family and believed that they could never do anything wrong. So he exclaims that this must be a twin of his horse, as these boys could never steal. Well, it was his strategy of influencing the boys in a positive manner. He wanted to show the boys the path of honesty, remind them of the values of their tribe, so that they feel guilty and do the right thing on their own. He lets his heart work over his mind. He touches their conscience with the immense faith he shows in them and hopes that the boys will understand. John Byro's strategy worked. The boys took the horse back to John Byro's barn very early in the morning to keep it there and come back before anyone else woke up. In the path, Aram got scared of dogs, who he thought would bark, but Murad exclaims one more time, I have a way with dogs. So he has a way with horses, farmers, dogs, and perhaps with a lot of other things. Why do you think the boys returned the horse? John Byro's strategy worked, right? But did John Byro trigger their fear or their conscience? Well, they were not scared. If they were to be scared of John Byro, then they would have returned the horse the same day that John Byro had visited Aram's house, remember? But instead, they planned to keep it for 6 long months. If they were really scared, they would have left the horse anywhere, perhaps, but not responsibly take it back to the right place. It was their conscience that was triggered. They felt really guilty of keeping the man's horse. They were full of remorse for stealing, being members of the Garoglanian family. The immense faith that John Byro showed The trust he showed reminded them of their values, and so they decided to return the horse. They had planned to keep it for 6 months, and it had only been 2 weeks, but they still returned it. Now that you have watched this video, you know the theme of the story, you know the summary, you know the historical context a little bit. So for you, even if you haven't read the text yet, it'll become easier for you to go through the text. So read the story from your textbooks and then answer the following questions. These are very easy questions, contextual and some thematic. You will be able to easily answer these questions if you try. So go ahead and answer these. I hope I have been able to help you with the comprehension of this story. After reading the text and watching the video, try to complete the assignment that I just gave. I am M. Reshmi Irani and I will see you again very soon. Till then, take care and thank you.